Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do another makeup tutorial for you guys. I've gotten a lot of requests to do a tutorial on this look, which is probably one of my most famous photo shoots to date. This was done by Michelle Starr for Jessica Louise Clothing. It was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it's kind of like my signature look. So I'm going to show you how you do it. It's really easy. Start out with your favorite little puppy dog. This is Toshi. Give him a nice snuggle. Tell him he is a good boy at least 5 times before you start the tutorial, and then you'll be ready to go. So if you're new, I usually just start out with my foundation, my brows, eye primer, and then chapstick, just to make it easier. What's Toshi doing? I don't know. Weird dog. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a flat brush. This one is a synthetic fiber brush, and I'm going to grab the white color from, this is Morphe. It's actually a really cheap palette, and their eyeshadows are really good, so highly recommend. I believe they're cruelty-free, too, if that's what you're aiming for. So this is going to be our base color. It's a matte color, so I don't know, it's not quite opaque, but it is buildable. So I'm going to put this on both of my eyes from the lashes all the way up to my brows. Now you don't need to go overboard with this because we do already have the primer on there and we're going to be using quite a bit of color. So you just want, you know, a pretty good starting base. Okay, so I'm going to grab a palette that I use quite a bit. This is actually a palette of all different colors from all different brands, from MAC, Lime Crime, Morphe, Anastasia Beverly Hills. The pink that I'm using right now is a depotted color from Lime Crime. This was a palette called the Marie Antoinette palette. It was from, oh my god, maybe 6 years ago. But they had really, really good pastel colors in there, and I really liked that the colors were really super opaque, and they were buildable, and they were just like that perfect. It was almost kind of like a neon pastel, if you can imagine, but if you look at the color, it's absolutely beautiful. It's this beautiful saturation of pastel pink. Now, if you don't have this color, no worries. You could use a blush, or actually the Morphe palette that I was using earlier, that one has 2 pastel pinks, so you could always replace it with either one. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so you're going to be putting this from the corner of your eye, and you're going to swoop that down underneath the eye and then out into the temples. Now, you can use a lot of this color. I absolutely love this color because if you're using pastel pink, and if you're fair-skinned as well, it blends pretty easily. Now, this color is going to be kind of your secondary base color, so everything is going to be blending into this color. So you can use a lot of it, and you're going to be putting it up into the crease, swooping it around, that bottom lid, and then all the way up into the temples. And it's actually really easy to blend as well. See, I'm using just the flat brush for most of the time, but I'll probably switch to my fluffy brush. See? Yeah, switch into that fluffy brush. Take a little bit more pink, and then you can kind of just blend that together just to make the edges blend a little bit more seamlessly. Sometimes if you're using these really bright pastel colors or even neon colors, the consistency of the shadow can be a little bit choppy. It's a little difficult to work with. So blending is going to be your best friend. You can use a fluffy brush like this. This is the 224 brush from MAC, or you can use a 217 brush. Any brush that is, I would suggest maybe a natural hair brush, and just blend, blend, blend. So the technique I'm using right now is called falling off the lid. I'm taking that pink eyeshadow and I'm literally making it fall off the lid and basically turn into my blush, and it's going to wrap around the very edge of my cheekbone, almost kind of like pink contour. So when I said before that you could use a lot of this color, I mean you can really use a lot of this color. Now we're going to go and add just a little bit more depth. So I'm using a mixture of that hot pink and then that kind of like deeper cranberry color. You could honestly just use one. I just wanted to mix it just to kind of see what would happen. I'm using the tip of that flat brush just to kind of carve out my crease. So again, I'm using that flat brush and the very, very tip of that flat brush just to carve out my crease. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to use very minimal product on the brush to, you know, decrease your amount of fallout that you're going to get on your cheeks. But then again, I guess when you're using this color, it doesn't really matter if you get fallout because you could just blend it into your blush. But anyway, so I'm just adding just a tiny bit at a time. Then grabbing a little bit more of that darker color, we're going to start adding a little bit more depth and a little bit of a darker value onto the outer corner of the eye. So this is going to take a little bit more patience because, like I said, a lot of these brighter colors, they tend to be a little bit more, I always use the word crumbly. They just kind of like crumble a little bit, like they grab onto your brush really, really well, but they kind of just go everywhere. So little patience is key. So use a little bit at a time, and you can kind of just pat it down and use this dragging motion to kind of shape where you want it to go. Once you feel like you have that kind of depth that you want, you can always go in with a fluffy brush and blend everything together. we're going to speed this up just a little bit. Like I said, this part kind of takes a little bit of patience because you have to use very minimal product on your brush and you just have to work at it very, very slowly at a time because you don't want fallout going everywhere. So I'm just adding as much depth as I can possibly get and then sweeping it up with my fluffy brush. Okay, so this is kind of just something I wanted to add to the makeup tutorial to make it just a little bit different. I really, really love this like pastel, almost neon lilac color. It was also part of that Lime Crime palette that I really hope they'll bring out sometime, or at least like re-release the colors in like one of those pocket candy palettes, because I think those are super cute. So I'm actually using the side of my fluffy brush to pat this down as if it were one of those flat brushes. Now, when you use this technique with this brush, you're going to get minimal color deposit, so it's going to be a little bit more subdued. And then we're going to jump right into eyeliner. I don't feel like I need to really explain too much on how to do eyeliner. I feel like we're all kind of on the same page in terms of how to put on eyeliner. But I am putting it on the lower waterline and the upper waterline as well. You guys don't have to put it in the upper waterline if you're not comfortable with it. It's definitely not an obligation. And then we're going in with a tiny little brush, and I'm actually going to blend in a little bit of eyeshadow with this. I will almost always do this when I do eyeshadow. You can either take black eyeshadow or you can take a secondary color to kind of make it fade into another color. This helps like the longevity of your eyeliner, right? So if you put any sort of powder on top of a cream or some sort of wet makeup, it's going to increase the longevity of it and make it stay longer. It's going to make it a little bit more consistent. Plus I like blending an eyeshadow in there just to make it like a little bit more smoky, right? If we just put eyeliner on by itself, it looks a little bit choppy. It kind of grabs onto your eyelashes. So this just kind of helps it look a little bit more finessed, I guess, a little bit more blended. Plus you get that really pretty pop of that, I guess this is more of like a navy color, but I feel like it really helps all the other colors stand out and pop a little bit more. Okay, and then I'm using a liquid liner. This one is called Quill, and it is from Lime Crime. I do really like this eyeliner. It's probably the fastest way I can put on eyeliner. If you're not too confident with using a liquid, maybe I would use a gel instead. This eyeliner, it definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, right? Because you have to use the brush that's in the pot, and it's a different kind of synthetic brush. It is tapered to a tip, so like it kind of curves around the edges of the eye as you're pulling it around. So by all means, if you feel comfortable with a different type of eyeliner, go for it. You actually don't even need to do a wing with this. However, I will say for my eye shape, this is kind of like the technique that I use to kind of make the eye come together. So when I'm doing my wing, I'm kind of making it fade onto the edge, basically where the crease and the edge of the eye meet, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm just filling that in and kind of, taking my time to make it fade in. See, yeah, to use the tip of the brush, make it fade in. It's a great technique. Okay, and then I'm using another liquid liner. I think this one is called Azuli or something like that. I should have checked. But basically, I'm going on top of my eyeliner, and I'm just creating a secondary navy pop of color, so it kind of matches the bottom lid as well. So then I'm going back into my Morphe palette and I'm grabbing this matte black color and I'm going to basically put it onto that corner where I was telling you to kind of blend the eyeliner into the eyeshadow. Unless you're using a gel liner, this can be pretty tricky to do, so it's pretty, it's pretty easy to clean up your mistakes if you just use a little bit of eyeshadow. Place it right on top, use a little bit of a dragging motion just to kind of help it blend in. That way your cat eye is almost like a cat smoky eye. Kelly Eden, trademark, TM. No one can take this. This is my technique. I came up with it. I am the inventor. All right, and then I'm going to do a little bit of lash primer. I highly recommend doing lash primer. I love lash primer, and it conditions your lashes as well. So part of the Kelly Eden brand is, when you think you're wearing too much pink, you're not wearing enough pink. Add more. So I'm taking a little bit more of pink blush because I wanted more of a punch of color on the top of my cheekbone, and I'm using a fluffy brush. This one's from Anastasia Beverly Hills, just to kind of blend that in. I'm curving this from the bottom of my eyelid all the way down, swooping around the apple of my cheek and then kind of into the contours of my cheekbone. So you can even go up into the temples with it. Like literally what I love about this look is pink is the main color and it's used to blend everything together. So you can use it for your contour, you can use it for your eyeshadow. You can even add more contour if you want. This color is called Bone. This is from MAC Pro. It's probably one of my favorite. It's a little bit more of a matted color, so it's not too shimmery. I do like this just to kind of bring my cheekbones out a little bit more. So if you're adding a highlight on the top of your cheekbones, it kind of makes them a little more pronounced. And then I'll actually end up going in and adding just a tiny little bit of darker color into the crevices of my cheekbone just to make it, you know, a little bit more carved out. But you don't want to go overboard with it. Just like a tiny little bit of color to mix in with that pink and you're good. In most of my makeup tutorials, I do mention that I'm pretty minimalistic when it comes to contouring. However, I do like a little bit more shadow just to kind of emphasize my features. So I'm definitely not the type of like influencer slash Instagram model who goes overboard with the contour, but I do like a little bit of shadow. All right, nearing the end of the look, now that the primer is finished drying, I'm adding just a little bit more mascara. And then, of course, I'm using my favorite lashes. These are from Ashlash. These are from my friend Ashlyn Coco, who just came out with her lash line. These are the Lolita style. I'll leave the link down below. They're a little expensive, but man, they are worth it. These are gorgeous lashes. All right, and then we're finishing it off with lips. This one is Marshmallow from Lime Crime. This is a velveteen liquid to matte, and it is, I just love these. These are my favorite lip products. I use them in almost every single makeup tutorial. In my opinion, they have the most longevity out of all the liquid lipsticks out there, but you know, that's just my opinion, and I haven't tried them all. And then I'm using a color from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I believe this color is called, it's not from Anastasia, never mind. This is Flamingo from Lime Crime. So I'm mixing these two together to create more of like a pink nude, something that's a little bit more youthful, something that's a little bit still subdued, but has a little bit more punch of color to go with the rest of the look. So I'm just using my finger to kind of pat it in place. I find that your fingers are still a really good tool to use, especially if you're using it for your lips, because you know your lips have a lot of creases and crevices, so it's nice to give them kind of a plush look by just using your fingers. I feel like it just blends really well. And then we're going into the Lime Crime highlight palette. We're using the pink color, and I'm using a 224 brush to blend this very much on the tip of my cheekbone to kind of blend in with all the layers of pink blush and pink eyeshadow. And then you're going to do it on the top of the brows as well. You can do it on the bottom of the brows, and it basically creates like a C shape around your eyes. So it's kind of like a very soft, glowy feature around the eyes just to kind of frame them. And then finally, a setting spray. To be honest, I don't really know how much I believe in setting sprays. I just don't know if they actually work, but I'm doing it anyway. This one's called Slay All Day. I think the name is really funny. Ha ha ha. All right, you guys, that's the look. I hope you enjoyed this makeup tutorial. If you're new, subscribe. Like to see you more. Bye!